Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are in for a real treat this afternoon with Jordana's presentation. I've had the pleasure of listening to it once prior, and you are definitely in for a real treat this afternoon. So definitely get the pens and paper out. There'll be lots of note-taking. So with that, I'd like to introduce Larissa. She is from I Think Financial, and she's our sponsor of today's program. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Larissa.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Larissa Mazda. I am the branch manager at the I Think Financial Credit Union on Boynton Beach in Congress. We do everything your financial needs may need. Mortgages, auto loans. We have great business opportunities for you in terms of business lending if you're looking to grow your business. Merchant services, all of the above. We're a one-stop shop for everything, and if we don't have it here, we definitely know somebody who does and can connect you that way. I'll put my information in the chat. If you guys have any questions, email me, call me. I'm here all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your continued support of today's Lunch and Learn programming. With that, I'm going to introduce our speaker today, Jordana Foster. She is the owner of Ready, Set, Go Beyond, LLC. As a certified mindset coach, business strategist / trainer, and motivational speaker with the John Maxwell team, Jordana is passionate about helping individuals, entrepreneurs, businesses, and organizations to communicate more effectively, shift their mindset, and unlock their full potential to achieve optimal results. From highly effective mastermind groups and leadership training programs to impactful communications and connection workshops and motivational speaking engagements, Jordana helps her clients level up their performance with essential tools and strategies designed to help them go beyond expectation. Jordana is a certified John Maxwell speaker, trainer, and business coach, communication specialist, team builder, trainer, host of the Go Beyond Show, a weekly live streamed TV radio show on Facebook at Ready, Set, Go Beyond, and on WNN 95.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and 1470 AM. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jordana.
It's wonderful to be here today and to see all of you here. And I think that it is so important that you've taken the time to invest in your own personal growth and development and understanding about communication and connection. Okay, so again, thank you so much, Jonathan, for inviting me to be here with all of you today to talk about a topic that is very important and relevant right now, which is everyone communicates and few connect. And I think that we all can agree that there's a lot of that going on right now. And if we're honest, sometimes we're actually guilty of that ourselves. So the fact is that it's especially relevant right now with what we're all experiencing in our lives and businesses, in our world, and our community, right? There is so much uncertainty still and challenges taking place. We all really need to assess where we're at right now in our life and business, who we are, and how we're connecting with other people, not just communicating. And I'm going to stress this a lot, but communicating and connecting. The relationships that we're having with others, showing up like all of you are doing today, and what it is that we stand for, what we're saying, how we're saying it. Here's a good one, how we're listening to others. There's so many components, and I'm going to try and cover as many as possible, but this is part of a much larger training that I do, a 6, 9, and 12-month training. But to give you some key core pieces, my intention today is to have you leave here with some tools and strategies that you can start implementing today, that you can start feeling better about today, and change those communications into connections. With all the virtual meetings and social distancing that we're still somewhat doing right now, it's the new normal for right now. And so we need to improve ourselves. We can't be who we were before COVID. We need to look at how we have not only how we're getting through this, but how we're growing through this, how we're getting better through this and how we're coming out of this with our businesses. And we really can't, we were talking about this earlier, there are so many people that are waiting until things get better, until they're all in person. And the truth is that we cannot afford to wait. Our businesses cannot afford to wait until things get better. Now they will get better, but how can you actually utilize the time that you have right now when you're all on this Zoom right now? How are you going to connect with the people that you're meeting here? Or when you attend your leads group, or when you're in a meeting for your organization or company, or you are doing a one-on-one virtually with someone? All of these tools and strategies apply to in person as well as virtually. But I will tell you that for the most part, a lot of people, most of my clients are struggling with the virtual component. You know, the distance, the proximity that's separating us. And it's a skill that needs to be developed. And we're going to be talking about that because right now, this is a new business landscape. Can we all agree with that? How we're communicating and connecting with each other now more than ever. And you're going to hear me say that throughout this whole talk today. Now more than ever, how we're communicating, how we're connecting with each other, how we're showing up is everything. It is vital to the growth of yourself and your business. Okay, so I want to ask you a few questions. And if you can raise your hands or nod your head, how many of you are attending more virtual business meetings and networking events than ever before? How many? Okay. And how many of you are still communicating with your teams, employees, or coworkers remotely, even a few? I know we were talking earlier about that. Several people might still be going to the office, but there might be some that still feel more comfortable, and comfort zones are very, very important right now. People are working remotely. How are you dealing with them? How are you communicating with them? How many of you are interacting with some, if not all of your clients virtually? I know I am, and I'll go into that in a minute. So how many of you feel uncomfortable or overwhelmed or frustrated with this whole communication process that in dealing with people remotely and virtually? Well, I saw a lot of hands and I saw a lot of nodding. So if you answered yes or nodded to even one of those questions, I'm glad because you're in the right place. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Like Jonathan introduced me, I am Jordana Foster with Ready, Set, Go Beyond, and I'm here to talk to you about this valuable content and extremely relevant information that we need to embrace right now, okay? And let me switch my page. Okay. You already heard who I am. You know, as a mindset coach and business strategist, it's all about up-leveling our performance. And you know, it's very interesting right now, whether you are a team of one or you have hundreds of employees, it really doesn't matter. The fact is that how you're communicating, how you're showing up, and how you're connecting is so vitally important right now. And how you were communicating and connecting before has to change. It's a new game. It's a new way of doing business right now. And business has changed. Have you changed? Okay, I want you to think about how you've changed, how you've grown. What have you done to change within this new landscape that we're in? The way that, how we're interacting with each other, how you're doing business. You know, my intention is to shed some light on how we should be talking with each other, how not just talking and communicating, but having that deeper connection with each other. And I mean really connecting. Not just on the surface like many people do, unfortunately most do, and I know that you've seen them, where they just show up and it's all about what they have to offer and what they're bringing to the table, and they don't even ask you about you and what you're bringing to the table, how you can collaborate, what your message and story and mission is. So it's really important, and that lack of communication, heightening your awareness like mine has been heightened, like I heighten with my clients, heightening your awareness so that you can not have that lack of communication and worry about the lack of proximity, but really being intentional about how you're showing up and what you're saying and how you're saying it. You know, we are all leaders in one way or another. You know, leadership comes down to influence. Leadership is influence. Leadership is about communication. And leadership depends on our ability to connect with others. You know, there's one thing that stands in the way between you and your success in your life and business. And it isn't knowledge, and it isn't skill, and it's not even talent. Do you know what it is? It's your ability to connect with others. Most of us assume, and let me tell you, assumptions are very dangerous. And I'm not going to say on here, but you know what happens when you assume. So most of us assume that whenever we communicate with someone, whenever we talk, whenever we open our mouth and words come out, that we are always connecting. But I assure you that nothing could be further from the truth. It's an assumption that we make on a daily basis, and it is way off base. Now, have you ever been to a networking meeting, an event, a meeting in your with other people that you haven't met before, where people are doing all the talking when you first meet them, and perhaps even when we're doing it in person, throwing a business card, and not really asking you what you do, who you are, what's important to you, not being interested in you? Has that happened to you before? Well, in their mind, that is communicating. That's delivering information. They're talking a lot, but they're not exchanging. They're not having a dialogue with you. They're talking at you and to you, but they're not including you in that dialogue. And that is not connecting. And that is not effective communication. And that is where so many of us need to refine these skills and really be aware of what we are doing and what we're not doing. You know, you want to improve your relationships with your clients and your coworkers and your team and your family and friends. It's all about connecting. We need people. We can't do anything in our world today without other people. We get better together. You've heard that expression, better together. We are better together. You see, we need to be able to connect and understand others in order to not only grow, but to succeed. And connecting is, here's the good news, it's a 100% teachable skill. I'm going to say that again. Connecting is 100% a teachable skill. That should make you feel really good. That's very reassuring, because if you don't know how to communicate right now and you don't know how to connect properly right now, that means that there's hope that you can get better. And that takes effort, okay? So when you learn to connect, and you will, you'll learn to lead better. And you'll learn to improve yourself and your ability to reach people on a deeper level. And then you'll watch what happens. It's magical, it's transformational, and it will change your business if you do it consistently and if you're committed to applying the tools and strategies every day with every interaction that you make. Every communication and every interaction is that opportunity for you to make a powerful connection with others. You know, it's interesting. There's a common misconception that certain people, and I think that we've all thought this, there are certain people that are just born with the ability to connect. Do some of you think that? Or have you, had that? Do you think that way? And the truth is that anyone, like I said, can learn how to make every communication and an interaction, an opportunity for that powerful connection. It's within your reach, but it will require extra effort. It will require you to be more dedicated. It will require lots of practice. And here's the tough one. It will require you to go outside your comfort zone. So let me ask you by a show of hands, how many of you want to improve your results? I think that we all do. We all want to improve our results. And if you want to get better results, you've got to get better at communicating and connecting with people. You can't have one without the other. Now, before I go any further, I do want to share an interesting story I recently had during a corporate training I did with some executives a few weeks ago. And one of the clients mentioned that he was not an extrovert. And he said to me, I don't really feel comfortable doing this because I'm not outgoing at all. Okay, like you. He said, I'm not outgoing like you. That's not my makeup. We were doing a lot of personality assessments too. And he said, how will I, listen to this question, see if you can relate to this. How will I be able to connect virtually with my clients when my entire business that I've grown has been built face to face? How many of you feel that way? I know I have. I know I do. And I know that several of you may be thinking that same question as well. Well, I'd like to tell you that being outspoken and outgoing and extroverted does not mean or ensure that you'll automatically connect with others when you speak. All that it means is that you will be more comfortable in doing so. Or you'll be louder when you do it. It doesn't mean that you're going to connect with them automatically. That is not the case. It doesn't matter what your personality type style is. If you're a D, an I, an S, or a C, we can go into those another time because I'm discertified. But when you can identify with what you want to accomplish and get across in your message and realize that it is not something that you're born with, it's a skill that you develop. It's a game changer. It's going to allow you to open doors that you didn't know were possible to open because you're opening a dialogue. You're having an understanding of what you can do rather than saying, I can't do this. I'm going to wait until. We cannot wait any longer. And if you've been waiting, and I'm thrilled that all of you are here, so you're not waiting, but how are you interacting with the people from the chamber that you're on with right now? How many other networking events within the chamber are you taking advantage of? What is it that you're doing to go further than just talking and communicating, but to build that into a deeper connection that will allow for collaboration and referrals? Think about that, okay? You can always improve your results by improving your ability to connect with people. You know, I find it interesting that some people don't give any thought whatsoever to developing their ability to connect with others. They think that it's automatic. And it shows. I'll tell you, it shows. Go to any of the meetings and you'll see that it shows. Some people don't see it as a skill, which it clearly is. And some don't even see it as important. And I'm so glad that you're here today because you obviously know that it is. So what do they do, the people that didn't make that effort to improve it? They're not connecting. They're showing up. You know, they're going to all these meetings and they're very busy, but they're not productive. There's a huge difference, isn't there, between being busy and being productive? There's a big difference between communicating and connecting, the same thing. So when people are showing up and they're just talking and throwing business cards, and it's only about the focus on them, there is no opportunity to connect. they're not allowing that opportunity to find out about that other person and what they have to offer and what they have to share and how they can grow together and refer clients and network and everything. You're missing out on so many opportunities. Now, it wouldn't be such a problem if we weren't such emotional beings, would it? But human beings are emotional creatures, aren't we? You know, we kid ourselves that we're only rational, logical human beings, but that just isn't the case. We are emotional creatures, and emotions can rule us. We need to be aware of that, those emotions, okay? So let me ask you, when you first meet someone for the first time, how do you try to connect with them? Now, I want you to notice, I didn't say how do you try to communicate with them, because I really want you, while they are the same, and communication is what I teach and train on and coach on, and that is such an important component. I really want you to see that there's a deeper level. I want you to dive into that. I want you to explore this. You know, so many times, you know, we're in the fourth quarter. I do talks about how to finish the fourth quarter strong. We're in the fourth quarter of the most challenging year that I think any of us have ever faced. Can we all agree on that? And the fact is that what I'm seeing and hearing is that business owners are waiting until this year is done. Like something is magically going to change between now and December 31st, and then everything's going to be perfect. And that's not the case. You need to finish, you need to reassess where you're at from a communication and connection standpoint. Reassess where you're at with how you're interacting with people, how you are showing up, what you're saying, how you're saying it, and look at it from the standpoint of you have 2.5 more months left of the year. 2.5 months is a long time. I know it has gone really fast with everything that's happening, but there's so much that can still be salvaged. Okay? We're so focused right now on surviving, and deservedly so. But when it comes to your business, I want you to think more optimistically about not just surviving, but thriving. And that requires your communication skills to be up-leveled. That includes your connection skills, how you're thinking, how you're showing up to these meetings, how you're showing up to all chamber meetings, what you're doing after the meeting. Are you having virtual one-on-ones outside? Think about what I just said about being emotional creatures. So how do you try to connect with people the first time? What do you say? I would really like you to write it down. I'm big, everybody, all my clients make fun of me because everything that I ask of them, I always say, write it down. Because so much of the time we're going at such a rapid pace that we're really not aware of what we're not doing, or what we are doing, but not doing properly, not doing effectively, not doing efficiently. And this is talking about communication and connection. So what are you saying to those new people that you're meeting? How do you say what you're saying? What is your tone? What is your approach? What is your message? Here's another one. What is your story? We all have a story, right? We all have more stories now of how we're going through this and growing through this. Have that be part of your story and your interaction. This is what, you know, it's very interesting with my coaching and training clients. Each one of them are coming to me for different reasons, but it all comes back to, you know, them not feeling comfortable connecting virtually, whether it's, you know, doing their elevator pitch, or what are they doing after, or they're rushing through it, or they're not following up with their clients, or how do they engage their team remotely, or how do they lead their team? How are they leading themselves? There's mindset components. There's so many things. So I want you to really write down and think about, kind of homework, if you will, because you're not going to do it right now. I really want you to think about what your approach is, what your story is, what your message is, what do you stand for? And truthfully, is that coming across when you communicate with someone? Is it? And I'm an accountability partner. It's about talking through it, not just realizing it and feeling bad about what you're not doing, but then getting some skills and growing yourself in order to get better. Because if we don't grow through what we're going through right now, if we don't get better right now, if we don't wait until things get better, we're going to come out of this stronger and better. And we're going to inspire others to do the same thing. Your business is counting on this. Your employees, your clients, your family, your community is counting on this. You need to learn and understand these connecting principles. Apply them and repeat. Know that consistency, just like with everything, is key. And know that the better we are able to connect with others, the better our results will be, the more fulfilling it will be, and the better the relationships will be. Oh, did I just skip a slide? Oh no, here we go. So this is crazy. I think this is such a powerful statement and statistic. So how important is connecting? Well, how about this? Listen to this. According to Harvard Business Review, the #1 criteria for advancement or promotion for professionals is their ability to communicate effectively. The #1 criteria, did you hear that? Is the ability to communicate effectively. I don't think that most people give this. This totally validates everything about this conversation, the importance of doing the work and applying these tools and skills and strategies. This is a game changer, but this is a priority for you and your business to move forward. How you're connecting, how you're communicating effectively. You need to think about that. Connecting is the ability to identify with people and relate to them in a way that increases your influence with them. Connecting is something that anyone can learn. We talked about that, but one must study communication in order to improve it. To connect with others, we must make the most of the skills that we already have, the experience that we already have, and we need to grow from there. We need to go from there. And most important, we need to be authentic. We need to be ourselves in this whole process. There are several factors that great connectors draw upon to cause them to listen to people. Change this. Okay. So here's a typical scenario. There's a leader in a business or organization. It could be the owner, the manager, or team leader. It doesn't matter. They're in charge. Then you have, and the leaders want to improve their results, clearly. Now, everyone on the team, all the other players want to improve results too. But here's the thing. Given that we're all different, we can all, and I'm going to use assume, but in a good way, we can all assume that we all want different results, right? Different things are important to each and every one of us, aren't they? So this is a great question to think into. How do you make sure that you're all on the same page, whether it's with your clients, with your team, with your boss? How do you make sure that you're all on the same page? And not only are you on the same page, but that you're heading in a direction, working together, not apart, working for a common goal, being a part of something, communicating and connecting more effectively takes things to a deeper level. And we all need that. It's essential. Leadership is all about others, and so is connection. It's not about us. We think that it's all about us. We show up sometimes that it's all about us. And if you control the conversation like it's all about you, you're not going to have any connection. We need to shift our focus. We need to shift the focus to others. If leaders want to improve, and all of you are leaders, we need to work on connecting with others. It needs to be intentional. We need to be intentional about, here's a key word, valuing others. Valuing what they do, what they have to say, who they are. People can sense value, even remotely. Trust me on this. You know, my business has changed, and I'm going to go into this. I went from 90% in person to 100% virtual. It was a huge adjustment and challenge for me, but people can sense my energy, and I hope you can feel it too. Okay, so don't just think that it's about the proximity. This connection can be done in person and virtually. You know, you can be in another office or in a meeting, and you can be talking and have close proximity. That does not ensure that you're connecting either. So given that we're all different and that we all want different things, know that that connection is so key to this process, to you moving closer in the right direction of how you want to interact with people on a deeper level, how you might want to collaborate with them. You might want to give them referrals and not just have it be about you getting referrals. Keep them top of mind. You know, within this chamber, there's so many people that that I'm sure that you've all interacted with, that you have thousands of business cards, if not hundreds. What are you doing? How did you follow up with those people? It's never too late. Join and be a part of the process of taking the communication and connection to a deeper level. Okay. There's a great quote that I absolutely love by Maya Angelou that says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, and they will. And people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So I want you to think about when you walk into the room, even if it's a virtual room, how are you making other people feel? It does start with how you feel first. Can we agree on that? We need to be in that right headspace. That's a whole nother conversation. I do mindset shift, but we need to feel good about who we are and what we do. And here's another thing, why we do what we do, because that really is a key component of this. And then when we think about how we make others feel, what is that doing? It's taking the emphasis off of us and it's placing it on who? It's placing it on them. So remember, in this whole communication and connection component, remember to value others and to not only value them, but to add value to others. Okay? That's how connections, real connections are built. That's how they're made. That's how they grow. That's how they're sustained. Okay? I really want you to think about that. And with every interaction you have a chance to make it better with each time that you have. Connecting is more of a skill than a natural talent. That's really good news, isn't it? For those of you who thought that people were born with it, that it's because somebody's outgoing, that it just comes easier for them. Connecting is not communicating. And the communicating that I'm talking about are the tools and the strategies that we are addressing that take that connection to a deeper level. It's not just talking, is it? So that is good news. Connecting is a skill that can be learned. You can learn this. You can get better at this. You can improve this starting today if you make it your intent. I train on this quite a bit, and more people are struggling with the communication and connecting, not only in person. And let me tell you, I had this before COVID happened with a lot of my clients, but especially now. now virtually to maintain that connection, even though we don't have that close proximity that we so dearly miss. And while things are coming back and people are now more, in person than they were 6 months ago, 7 months ago, we have to make that huge effort to make every communication a connection. It's just like any other skill that you want to learn. You need to learn the skill and practice it to get better, to improve yourself. I was telling you that 90% of my business before all of this, before COVID, was in person, 90%. And I'm an in-person person, okay? I thrive on the energy, but it was a story I was telling myself, because here you go. We make excuses. And those excuses of why I'm not going to show up, why I'm not going to get on the Zoom, why I'm not going to put my picture on the screen, why am I not going to ask a question, why am I not going to follow up with this person that I met, why am I not going to, why? We can why ourselves all day, every day. But those excuses can either be the reason why you don't do something, why you don't communicate more effectively, why you're not connecting the way you need to, or those excuses could be the reason why, see how I flipped that? Could be the reasons why you do invest your time and energy in building this very important and beneficial skill of communicating and connecting. I thought that I knew that I wasn't going to wait with my business, but I will be completely honest and transparent with you. I was very concerned about the virtual component with all the Zoom and not being in person, and how am I going to get, people engaged and to interact with me and have this dialogue on very important topics. But I knew that what I had to offer was bigger than me. It was an important message that I needed to get out to more people. And can I tell you, when I took it off of me and I grew myself and I allowed myself to step into something that was uncomfortable, do you know what happened? I didn't wait until things got better. My business has grown, I'm very thankful and grateful, so significantly that I actually had more speaking engagements in the last 6 months than I did last year. That's crazy. How about this? I landed the biggest account that I've ever had in my business, and they were an international client in another country. So actually in 3 other countries. So because we have these excuses, we cannot let them be the reasons why we don't. We need to step into this. We need to stop making excuses for, why we're not doing something, why we're not connecting, why we're not communicating, that we think that we're not enough, that we don't know what we're going to say. We need to work on how we're delivering what we need to say and how we say it, because those impressions people remember. Those are the things that people, whether they reach out to you or not and want to collaborate. So I want to watch my time. Okay, so there are 5 key factors for connecting. There are many more than 5, but I'm going to address for this conversation 5. Relationships, who you know. A quick way to gain credibility with an individual, group, or audience is to borrow it from someone who already has credibility with them. So who you know can open the door for your connection with someone. Think of that as a collaboration starting point. Think about who you can meet that there might be some synergies with on this Zoom or within the chamber that you've met, and really do your due diligence and follow up. But those are the relationship components that we just kind of look over because we're so focused on ourselves. The next one, number 2, insight. What you do, what you know. If you share an area like I'm doing today, an area of your expertise or knowledge generously with others, you're giving people a glimpse into the reasons why they should know, like, and trust you, right? They're getting an idea of what you stand for, of what your knowledge is, what your expertise is. They will develop a sense of connecting with you because of the insight that you provided. It's very important to share that insight. Success. What have you done What have you done? People want to be successful. They seek out others who have accomplished something to get their advice, to get their insight and input. And it's not just what you've done in your business success. What have you done in the community? People want to be with people who do good, who feel good. It's contagious. So think about the success component, about what you have done, how you've contributed. It's a really important piece of this connecting component. Your ability, number 4. What can you do? I need you to get very clear on this. What it is that you can do. Okay. What are you good at? Write it down. Okay. Write it down. If you have a high level ability in a particular area, others will want to connect with you because of that ability. You need to acknowledge that. Excellence connects with others. Individuals who perform at a higher level in their profession often have instant credibility with others. So think about that, because when people speak about their abilities and that comes shining through very powerfully, people listen, they take note. Watch my time. Okay. Sacrifice, number 5, how you have lived. If you've worked hard, overcome obstacles and challenges, and most of us have, but some more than others, especially during this time right now, people will relate to you. Think of your stories, your sacrifice. If you have been able to remain positive yet humble in the midst of any difficulties, especially what we've just gone through, share that with others. They'll not only admire you because of it, but they'll be able to connect with you and relate to you better because of it. You know, these are 5 connecting pieces and factors. They're just the beginning and scratch the surface. You could probably think of others. I could mention having a great energy, a warm smile, a good sense of humor, and something memorable. Those are things that you should think into as well. So Max Dupree, who's an author of the book Leadership is an Art, said there may be no single thing more important in our efforts to achieve meaningful work and fulfilling relationships than to learn to practice the art of communication. And I think we all can agree that meaningful work and fulfilling relationships is what it's all about, isn't it? So I want you to take whatever you have, use it to connect with others. The more factors that you have and the better you are at becoming to use them, the greater your chance of connecting with people. But you must be intentional. You need to be authentic, and you need to be strategic. You need to play to your strengths. Remember, I told you to write them down. Do you know what your strengths are? Think about it and write them down. You need to develop your own style. You need to cultivate whatever skills you can in order to connect with people and relate to them on that deeper level. You need to be genuine, and you need to be you. Okay? Let me scroll this. Oh, did I do that? Oops, sorry. Influence is not about impressing people. And it's funny, a lot of people assume that that is. There's that assumption again. It is about connecting with them. Most people think that it's all about being the best. And if you want to lead, you have to be the best. And if you want people to listen to you, you've got to impress them. Well, it's not a logical thing. It's an emotional thing. And we need to understand that to connect, we need to connect with people emotionally. It's not about impressing them. It's about connecting with them, meeting them where they're at. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, and that we're all different. And let me try and illustrate that for a minute. I'm going to show you a picture for 5 seconds, and I want you to think about what you see. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So I want to ask you a question. How many of you saw a black urn in that picture? I can't see everybody. Did anybody see? Excellent. Now, how many of you saw 2 people face to face looking at each other? So isn't that interesting? I'm going to go back to the picture so now you can see it. I didn't want you to cheat. So it all depends on where your awareness is. You know, once I said the opposite of what you first saw, didn't you see the other one that you didn't see originally? And people are seeing the same picture, but they're seeing it differently. Well, if the picture is the same, the difference is with the individual, right? There's something different that changes the way we see things, and that's called conditioning. We are all different. We all see the world differently, different views, different beliefs and values, different mindsets, different things are important to us. We have different passions and talents and different expectations and tolerances. And let me ask you, how are you going to be able to find that out from people if you're doing all the talking? If you're not asking, if you're not interested? It's a big difference. It allows them to come through and share their differences and their opinions and their insights and their expertise. Let them be part of the conversation. Let it be a conversation. A conversation is two people talking, not one person talking. We're given two ears and one mouth, right? We're supposed to listen twice as much as we are to talk. Okay, common ground. Common ground is the point where everyone's needs, beliefs, and values intersect. And to ignore this when trying to connect with people is to miss the whole point of connecting. And connectors, I assure you, understand this point. They get it. They know that they need to connect with people and find that common ground. Do you do this? Do you make a concerted effort to find common ground when you're talking with someone, when you're meeting someone? Are you intentional about that effort? And I'm not talking about once in a while or this meeting I did, but I didn't have time. I'm talking about consistent effort. If you want to connect with someone, you have to go to them. You have to take the ego out of it, take yourself out of it. You need to find that common ground. When our beliefs and theirs intersect, that's the common ground we find. We can connect from there. And if you don't, you won't go anywhere. This takes energy, okay? It's going to take the energy to connect. It's going to take an investment of your time. It's going to take you to develop your skill. But we've all heard the expression that you have to sow before you reap, right? Well, that's exactly what you have to do when you're making that effort to make communication, to take that communication and turn that into a connection level, okay? Connection is not an accident and it's not automatic. It takes time. So just before we finish up, I want you to remember that the key is to any progress. It's all about your awareness. It's about your consistency. It's about the application. Improvement is a process. Change is a process. We tend to overestimate, this is interesting, the event and underestimate the process, don't we? The process involves acknowledge our behavior, the willingness to change that behavior, being open to learning new skills, and then implementing them with consistency. Do you see how many layers that was based on? There's a lot of pieces to that. You can't just do one and say, okay, I'm good. Consistency is so important. This is not a once in a while application or effort. If we don't do this consistently, and it will not be effective, you will not connect, and it will not be worth it. Yes, we can't just flip a switch and connect with someone. I wish that it was that easy. We all do, but it's not. It's a skill that takes time to learn and gets better with your intention, effort, and of course, plenty of practice. And I want you to know that, these communication principles are just scratching the surface of a deeper lesson about how you should continue to communicate more effectively and build those skills and recognize where your strengths are. Okay. And I want to just share real quick, and then I will be able to give a few quotes. So I found some statistics that I wanted to share with you. Okay. So it was very interesting about the workplace. Employees that feel that their voice is heard in the workplace are almost 5 times more likely to feel more empowered to deliver their best work. And organizations with connected employees show productivity increases 20 to 25%. And here's the last statistic. A huge 69% of managers feel uncomfortable when communicating with their employees. I want you to think about that. That's incredible. That's why this is such an important topic. But more important than the topic, it's about what we do once we've heard this. Connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, valued, and heard, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. Brené Brown, did you hear those words? When they feel seen, when they feel heard, when they feel valued. How about when you feel heard, when you feel valued, when you feel acknowledged? Think about that when you're showing up to these chamber events with every interaction that you're making. I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with all of you today to share some of these valuable insights and principles about connecting and communicating on a deeper level. They can be real game changers in your business and, quite frankly, in all of your relationships. Remember that every communication and interaction is an opportunity for us to connect. Don't waste those opportunities. Seize those opportunities and create those opportunities. The ability to connect is a major determining factor in reaching your full potential, your employees, for them to learn and reach their full potential. And if you want to grow your business, like all of us do, you need to grow yourself first. I encourage you to step up, show up, and never give up. It's time to go beyond communicating and start connecting. I'm Jordana Foster, and I thank you so much for your time.
I want to thank Jordana again. This was a great presentation. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for spending your lunch hour with us today. And I hope to see some of you tomorrow or not at a future Zoom event. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Very much.